Champions promo relegations. Envision have booked themselves into the winners bracket final here in our promo relegation series, and we're now going to be jumping in to the second best of three, where Darkspawn take on probably the open bracket favorites in the form of E9 Brotherhood. Ejby Brotherhood.
Ejby?
They look very good in the games that we saw from them. They also have the AD carry.
Dan
Voxney. That guy's a monster.
Dan Voxney.
Dan, is it actually? Do you need to go?
Dan Voxney.
Are you playing? Is it you?
Dan Voxney?
Dan Voxney and also Lena, and that entire team is stacked with individual talent. They'll be going up against Darkspawn, who, as Orc said, are the 8th place team from the UKLC.
Darkspawn on 9th, please.
We had 9 teams? Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I thought we had 8 teams. Sorry, mate.
That was the whole point of the tower thing.
Yeah, no, my bad. I just forgot how many teams.
It is a new format.
Yeah, I'm new here. I've not been here the
You
whole time.
can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, well, I'm just very, very old dog, kind of, you know. I'm not going to sin territory here, but I'm just a very, very old player in the UKLC. Let's move on to this game. It is Darkspawn and E9 Brothers. I can't look at your face not laughing.
I mean, look at Orcs' face.
He's got such a cheeky little smile that he tries to hide when he's like trying to start laughing. He's like, and he does this breathing in thing when he does this little breathing in thing when he's like heard something slightly controversial. He's like, okay then.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Move on.
Last game. I'm just trying to steer it back on track.
Chronicle is the professional one here. Even when you come to the normal UKLC, you just get me, Jake, and Orcs like memeing it, like just absolutely memeing it. But we've actually got Chronicle here, who comes from a very professional ESL Benelux background, doing all the Benelux region stuff.
Indeed.
Hella professional. And obviously now you're just here in LVP meme.
I'm very happy to be here with you guys. I'm really excited about next game as well.
Are you putting on that Dutch accent?
It's a very good Dutch accent,
Well,
yes.
you are Dutch, so...
Yeah, that doesn't really work. No, but honestly...
Can you introduce this in Dutch? Introduce this match in Dutch.
Welkom allemaal bij Ejby Brotherhood tegen niemand anders dan Darkspawn Gaming. Darkspawn Gaming heeft er tot nu toe goed uitgezien, maar gaan ze dat vanavond weer doen, jongens?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That was a good answer. Yeah, that was the right one.
What was it? What did you say?
I said, welcome everyone to Ejby Brotherhood taking on Darkspawn. E9 Brotherhood have been looking really good thus far. Are they going to be able to replicate it tonight?
You could have said, do you want to give me your car? And I would have just said yes.
Yeah, so, no, in hindsight, probably should have done that.
You probably should have said, am I the best caster here? And then we would have been like,
yeah.
Ah, you fools. Got you there.
Okay, I will hone us in on this matchup. Darkspawn versus E9. We're going to follow Chronicler's suit here. Let's talk a little bit about this, because E9 did look the best, I think, out of the open teams coming in with all that stacked individual talent. And Darkspawn have looked shaky from time to time. I think Akers has been a big potential win condition for them, but they've never been able to activate him. And in scenarios where I think Akers should have been that split push king, he's decided to join his team and it hasn't worked out for him on that Gnar, specifically. Going into this matchup, most people favoring E9, is that fair?
I think that's fair. I think the saving grace for Darkspawn are, for me, Akers and PFI in the top and jungle. PFI's had some really solid performances throughout the split. He is on the roll at the moment. Just hit challenge and solo queue there, just shout out. I hope you appreciate that. But I think they are sort of the saving grace. The one issue that I've had is other times they've put a lot of focus in the top lane towards Akers to get him ahead, and then the bot lane's just been punished massively on the other side of the map. And I think that's my concern, is that will the bot lane be able to absorb pressure if they're going to go for a similar route like that? Because I think the strongest point of E9 is their bot lane.
Yeah, we talked earlier about how Envision was kind of different because we saw Hybrid and the Brotherhood, who performed really well in Forge of Champions. Both of them were really around the 80 carries. And like you said, I think if Dan Voxney, if you give him a lead, we saw him do this in Forge. He's just relentless with how far he can push it. And that really scares me, as you say, even if they will get Akers out, because I've got to agree with you there. Both PF and Akers have really improved me, as I also got the pleasure to cast them at Insomnia. And the two of them were also just consistently a big threat. But is it going to be enough?
I'm interested also with PFI being a pretty well-known Elise player. Whether we see Elise come through for him in the jungle right now is very strong. I'd love to get the stats on the Forge of Champions in UKLC Elise win percentage, because I'm pretty sure it's below like 10%. I'm almost certain we have one of the most abysmal Elise win rates in the UK right now.
In fairness, I will say that a lot of those stats are going to come from pre-patch 9.9, which is when Elise wasn't as good at contesting those level 2 skulls, as we saw from M&M Nulty, not the greatest level 2 champion. But now on this patch, you get your level 3 before you contest them, you're in a much better position to do that.
Into picks and bans, the Morgana ban comes through from Darkspawn. I'm expecting a Gnar ban from E9. I don't think you give Akaz that Gnar. It is just something that he feels so comfortable on.
And I think that this is also to just make sure that you don't play against a Caitlyn Morgana name, because we've already talked about Den Foxney, but it's also Shazian who consistently was able to make sure that not only does his carry stay alive, but also just get him hyper-fed early on.
I mean, it is the most frustrating bot lane to play against is Caitlyn Morgana, because one bind hits, then the trap hits, and anytime you try and engage in return, the Black Shield is there to counteract it, and the range is just huge. So understandably, they get rid of that because Den Foxney and Shazian have had so much success on that.
They've actually just buffed Caitlyn's trap headshot damage on 9.10, by the way.
Thanks for that. Class.
So it's going to be even more obnoxious.
They also buffed Elise, even though she's getting a lot of play. So not direct buffs, but she will be very strong on the next patch. We do see the Rise taken out, something that was ignored in the last patch, and the Akali as well. Both very strong flex picks that can go in the mid or top lane off the table.
We'll see Darkspawn now rounding out those bans. Actually, I like the respect being given to Rise in this series. I felt like Rise was completely undersold in our previous series in terms of his power on this 9.9 patch. Akali also one of the first pick flex potentials. I'm expecting maybe a Sylas ban because, again, that's also very popular.
We're seeing a lot of bans here towards Lina, but crucially, the Aurelia has not yet been taken off the table. And we also saw Lina play Camille, and he is mechanically a highly aggressive, highly snowbally top laner who can play these mechanically intensive champions. So I really like the first pickup here from the Aurelia, because you know that if you don't give that, or if they give that over to Lina rather, if you give them the possibility, they're going to go for it.
Nautilus locked in at the start here for E9. Now we're waiting to see exactly who they follow that up with, whether that'll be a flexible Nautilus pick. I know Vixen, I think, has played a bit of Nautilus mid as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is you can have as a flex, so it's a good pickup right here and now. Sylas is still available. If you wanted to pick up that, again, works effectively as a flex, and with Jace off the table could be good. They are going to go for Den Foxney's Caitlyn. And the thing is, if they do put that Nautilus in the bot lane, it's not quite as synergistic as the Morgana Caitlyn.
But it still has synergy.
But you land the CC, you follow up with a K-trap, it's very easy to execute with.
If I remember correctly, Den Foxney's Caitlyn KDA in the previous 2 games that they played off stream yesterday were, I think, 8-1 and 12-2 or 12-0.
Yeah,
like
he had some insane KDAs.
Yeah.
The guy is just very good at Caitlyn. And Caitlyn is one of those champions, if she gets ahead, she becomes obnoxious. Just because of the way she is. She has the highest base attack range out of any AD carry in the game. Only Tristana, I think Cogmore with his W and Jinx, when she levels up her Q, start to outrange her. She just has that base attack range from level 1, which is very difficult to deal with in the laning phase. You do need to set her up. You do need combos to make her work. She's also one of the more static AD carries in the game as well, with the only escape being the Caliber net, and that's quite telegraphed and quite slow. So there are trade-offs for Caitlyn. And that's why she works with Morgana, because you cover her weaknesses with the Black Shield. But she's still, obviously, if you're a great Caitlyn player, you're obviously going to be doing fine. Oh!
Seen a Riven coming out. Yeah, Lina, very strong in that champion.
I'm pretty sure it was banned against them last time we saw E9 play.
Yeah.
I'm actually legitimately scared, because I know that this is also pre-Riven nerfs, right? Because everyone was waiting for them to come through, and now E finally got nerfed. I mean, a win rate dropped 6%. Like, it might get back up again. I acknowledge this, right?
Okay, there was conversations. It is definitely a nerf. I will agree that it was a nerf. I think people were just a bit upset
my
that
Riven
there was
1 tricks were really upset on Twitter.
In my opinion, the Riven changes in 9.10. If you snowball on Riven, you're going to snowball harder. But there is less comeback and less survivability because you just have that Q, the Q cooldown reduction, right?
I just feel like the E sets up the combos really well, but again, that won't be on this patch. Riven's still in a great situation, and we talked about how we wanted to see a lot of pressure coming out from Darkspawn on their top jungle. If there is Aurelia in the top lane and Rek'Sai in the jungle, that is a very strong combo, but Lina wanting to answer back with this Riven. Now quickly seeing some bans come out, the Braum taken away, a good pick to sort of deny the headshot setup, and then the Kennen. So they're not certain, again, that this Aurelia is in the top lane. Would be a good match against Riven because a lot of safety. LeBlanc and Nunu taken away from E9.
And I gotta say, I think that if we get an Aurelia versus Riven top lane, it's such a volatile matchup where either of those two, if they get ahead, if they get an item advantage, I don't think there's a lot you can do. We saw this banned repeatedly against Infinity in the last series, and now it's picked up here for Psyche, the Carthus.
It's got solid scaling. Once you hit level 6, it's going to help. The one thing that I'm worried about is the fact that PFI is going to have so much more impact 3-6 on the map. And when you have a volatile matchup like the Aurelia and the Riven, or whatever Akaz is going to pick into the Riven, I feel like having a jungler who's not really going to do anything early could be a difficult one.
Because Nara's still available, and we know that Akkas likes that. It is a ranged matchup into the Riven.
Looks like it's going to be the... We'll have to wait and see. I was expecting to see
Okay.
the Shen go... I was thinking Shen might go support here, but I think if you pick... Zillion, you're kind of asking for it if that's going to be Nautilus in the bot lane. That's my only worry.
Could be the Shen support, could be the Nautilus going mid lane. There are a lot of variations still coming
Yeah,
out. Will be the Shen support. Looks like it will be the Croc, but we can't say whether it's going to be mid or top. This is
pure Gen X material, you know.
Beely is someone who plays that Renekton mid. I'm not even kidding. You made a guide on it when he was the sub for XL.
No doubts whatsoever. And Vixen, traditionally, an RE1 trick has, of course, picked up a lot of other
Traditionally,
champions.
just is an RE1 trick. I mean,
he's picked up other champions,
but he tweets the most posts about Ahri. Then let's make him the RE1 trick.
Now, the real question is, what skin is he going to take? It's going to be KDA?
KDA is like the best one in my
Prestige
opinion.
KDA.
Prestige KDA.
You know, if you're an RE1 trick, that is the skin you want. Would you see the comps end up finishing out? So I feel like a lot of pressure on the top side for Darkspawn. PFI able to do a lot in those lanes. Renekton against Riven does favor the Renekton in the early levels. And I feel like the Aurelia is going to have the pressure advantage against that Ahri. However, bot side is not going to be fun for Darkspawn. And once that Karthus hits level 6, you know how powerful it can be.
And looking at Darkspawn, they've got these picks that if they get ahead in their lane matchups, and that is not a fun matchup for Riven, by the way. That is not a fun matchup for Riven into the Renekton. If they get ahead, they're going to snowball really hard, and they're going to just run away with the game, in my opinion. But if you give E9 any kind of space, if we get to 25, 30 minutes and things are even, E9 probably massively favored.
I got to say, yeah, with Riven in the mid to late game being such an incredible threat in the terms of, especially pre-E-nerf, like the mobility, which is the threat that she poses to your backliner in a 1v1 is insane.
What I will say about Riven 1 tricks is if you're a Riven 1 trick, your most countered matchup in the top lane is Renekton in most scenarios. You're probably most practiced about how to play into a Renekton as a Riven.
And that's something I've actually heard from Riven 1 tricks, is that there are certain points where you do actually beat the Renekton. I think level 1 is in the advantage of the Riven because obviously you can level that Q, you can use it 3 times. The Renekton tends not to have that much rage at that point and only has one ability. So at that point, if Akkas doesn't respect the matchup against someone who is very practiced on this Riven, could fall foul, but I do think the pressure will go over to the Renekton, and crucially, having the Rek'Sai to back you up, to me, that just screams they are going to punish that Riven.
I gotta say, I do feel like with the scuttle changes, a full clear jungler like Karthus has become a little bit less of a liability. Now, there is still the pressure on the lanes to make sure that they don't get out-pressured by the Rek'Sai, that they respect the gank power, but you gotta imagine with a slower scuttle, if you get some good pathing out of Psyche here, like you said, once you hit 6, even if you're ahead in a 1v1, Requiem is always there to seal the deal.
Yeah, I mean, again, any high clear speed jungler works well on the current jungle format. The thing about Rek'Sai is that because you have the ability to path into the jungle in many different ways, there are ways to get counter jungling done. There are ways to try and find the 1v1 versus Karthus when he is weaker in the early game. And PFA might find that. He is also going to be able to impact those explosive matchups, specifically in the top side of the map. I think maybe if he can start to get the Aurelia ahead versus Ahri too, he's got great solo laners to work with right now. You probably don't spend much time bot because of the way that matchup rolls. You've got good potential setup with the Shen, of course, but again, you know, you've got the Nautilus to get through, you've got lots of CC to work with, but you want to get these explosive solo laners rolling if you're Darkspawn.
And let's go back to the bot lane a little bit, Orcs, because you already said it's not going to be a fun bot lane, especially since we expect PFI to put a lot more attention towards the top side, and with how big a win condition that bot side is for Ejby Brotherhood. How do you think that's going to go? Because we need to see very good defensive play here.
I mean, exactly. You're going to get pushed in by the Caitlyn and the Nautilus. They're going to have the pressure advantage. The Shen is going to help out and being able to stop that all in. The Taunt's going to be useful against the Nautilus to stop him falling up with his passive. The Shroud that he puts down will block the auto attack from the headshot if a trap is placed, but you're not going to have the pressure advantage. You're there to soak pressure. What I do like about the Shen pick is that it's going to be able to assist the solo lanes later in the game. So if they develop into a point where they are getting ahead, if that Karthus tries to influence things, the Shen can prevent that damage from the ult and potentially turn a 1v1. But it does mean that Flirt on this Kai'Sa is kind of just needed to soak pressure in the early levels, but will come online pretty solidly later on.
The Spirit's Refuge is the key ability for me. If you get engaged on by the Nautilus and you group up on the Spirit's Refuge, then you're able to just burst out the Nautilus when your Caitlyn's doing no damage to you. You've got quite a lot of burst coming through there. Nautilus is not particularly tanky in the early levels. I think if you're E9, don't over egg the engages. You might not find that you get as much love out of them as you think.
You should just use your range advantage, I think is the crucial thing. Get the shove early, get control of the lane, then use that. If you just look to constantly force, you might find it backfiring because, like you said, you can put the Spirit's Refuge down, you can block the auto attacks. Crucially, it blocks the passive from Nautilus and the headshots from Caitlyn. And then when Nautilus tries to back away, it's easy just to land a taunt. And crucially, there's a lot more sustained damage from Kai'Sa than a Caitlyn because of that passive.
And gentlemen, the first game of the evening was a 2-0 for our open bracket team. We've now seen the pick and bans locked in, and we'll be getting in momentarily as there seems to be a pause that needs to be resolved first. The first one was a 2-0 where we felt like it was kind of favoured for Bulldog. Now, in this matchup, just based on seeding alone, you'd expect E9 to have an edge. We've now seen the draft. What do you expect coming out of this? Who is going to take the first win in this series?
Well, okay, we've seen scaling comps work mostly in this kind of level, right? So obviously when you've got a Karthus on the squad, that's always going to give you scaling. But I actually really like what Darkspawn have drafted here. I genuinely like what Darkspawn have drafted. I think if PFI, who's recently on a tear, his confidence is going to be high, can get his solo laners rolling, I actually think that I'm liking what Darkspawn will bring to the table. I would personally give the slight edge in terms of pure draft over to Darkspawn.
Yeah, I would say the same, and I do like to think that they would get ahead. My big concern is just that, again and again, we saw the bot lane of Darkspawn get punished. There were many times during the UKLC regular split that they split the map. So PFI focused on the top side, the enemy jungler focused on the bot side, and then it just felt like there was no respect from the Darkspawn bot lane, and they got absolutely punished for it. I'm concerned if that happens again here, the game will just fall apart for them.
So, two separate predictions here. I mean, you're kind of hedging your bets there.
I want to say Darkspawn, but I just feel like it's a sort of game where they won't get as much pressure as they need, and then E9 will end up taking it in the end. So I'm going to say E9.
I think if we're taking a leaf out of the book from the previous series, it's very difficult to push advantages, even when you have superior matchups in the lane.
As long as it's not another Infernal fight where it all falls apart, because we saw that happen twice last series. And I do got to say, I do feel like compared to especially the first game, it's not like Darkspawn needs to snowball very hard in the early game. Although if they're able to, got to imagine that it's going to give them a lead. So hopefully we're going to get into game soon. If they lose this first game, or the Brotherhood will, in a decisive fashion, where do you feel like, do you think the Riven is a little bit of a risk?
I think the Riven's definitely a risk. I mean, Riven's a risk whenever you pick a Riven, right? She's one of those picks that if she gets behind, she's almost useless, and if she gets ahead, she's like absolutely crushing. So Riven's, but we know Lina is a very good Riven player, and we know that she's probably practiced this matchup heavily into the Renekton. You also have the fact that Seiki, you don't really see much jungle 1v1 counter jungling in terms of the old Diamond Proc style of jungling where you went in to find the enemy jungler and kill them. You don't really see that much anymore. River Scuttler kind of demands attention be brought to the river. River Scuttler often also prevents you from going too aggressive in the enemy jungle, and also relies heavily on laners because laners respond much more easily now to jungle pressure. So Karthus is quite safe on his jungle clears in general, and you don't often find many opportunities to go in for the kill.
I just feel my concern isn't necessarily the jungle 1v1 or the top 1v1. I think Lina picking the Riven is fine.
You're more concerned about bot?
No, I just think it's the Riven and the Karthus together. I feel like you picked something where if the Riven gets ahead of the Renekton, it will crush the Renekton. If you manage to apply some pressure there, if you counter gank PFI, it will do so much work. But the issue is that they have a Karthus who isn't going to apply that much pressure early.
Okay, so we have a very, very quick break to go to as we resolve this pause issue in our first game of this series. When we're back, hopefully we'll be diving straight into the action. Welcome back. We are about to jump into game. I've heard we're around 1 minute out getting into that game between Darkspawn and E9 Brotherhood. The pause issues have hopefully, fingers crossed, been resolved, and we should allow ourselves to jump into this first game of the best of 3. Most people saying that, you know, E9 likely favored in this particular matchup. But again, I do think Darkspawn drafted quite well. I think they drafted win conditions. I think they look to take the fight to those solo laners, which I think is a good idea as well. Beely has been a bit hit or miss for me in terms of mid lane performances. So versus Vixen on Vixen's main, Ahri, I'm a little bit worried there.
Yeah, my concern as well is just that it's like you have to win early really hard or the game is just over. And I think that bot lane matchup, it's sure you can survive, but you're going to be shoved in, you're going to be taking poke, and we were talking about the Spirit Refuge to protect from the all-in. That is your one sort of defensive ability. I wouldn't like to play that matchup as a sort of support player myself.
I can see like...
I would not enjoy playing that.
No.
It does not look like a fun matchup to play, so I feel like there's going to be so much pressure there from E9, and then on top of that, it's like PFI has to get things going, and credit to him, PFI is arguably the strongest player on Darkspawn, but he has to make things happen in the early game, because if he starts to get towards that mid-game point and they're even, they won't win this game.
I'm really, really excited about not just, I know the jungler, of course, because it is top lane and Darkspawn play at the top side of the map, but I'm really looking forward to this 1v1 because Akaz, as we mentioned previously, has been one of my standout members for Darkspawn, able to find the 1v1s, able to find the advantages no matter what, but then actually capitalizing on it has proven to be hard. And you're faced off against Lina, who is this highly mechanical top laner in a Riven versus Renekton matchup. Hope to see a lot of fireworks there.
Yeah, so we'll be hopefully jumping in ASAP. And as we gear up for this first game, most people kind of putting Darkspawn under the thumb a little bit in terms of the outcome. Darkspawn, if they do lose, will be going into that losers bracket matchup against Bulldogs, where we will absolutely guarantee a previous UKLC team out of the UKLC. So they need to win to keep the UKLC dream team alive of getting the Darkspawn and Bulldogs roster back in. Here we are, though, jumping into the game.
The first game of the second series of tonight, First Dragon, will be an Inferno, it looks like, as E9 Brotherhood gonna take on the current UKLC team. And I'm really excited. I hope we're gonna see some early action here. I did hear that in some of the games yesterday, there were some really aggressive early invades. But
Yeah.
that's gonna be the case remains to be seen. And
I heard that was what E9 did.
does
level
not
1.
look like it whatsoever.
Yeah, it looks like they will play it safe. I think maybe cautious that it could have been sussed out. We will see the electrocute Ahri coming out from Vixen, so a bit more damage, a bit more pressure, not going that sort of more utility Glacial Augment build.
Would have minded that, although I do feel like you have so much initiation CC with the Nautilus that you can be kind of certain that you'll land a chance.
I actually would have really liked the Glacial Augment in this particular matchup because it sets up the Karthus, the Riven, and the Nautilus really well in teamfight scenarios. But maybe you're just wanting that pure execute potential, and you want to provide that pick potential onto squishier targets like Flirt.
There was a late invade yesterday, and it looks like they're replicating it now. E9 won their game yesterday with this exact strategy. There is no vision whatsoever. Flirt is standing close, and now they're walking. Dredgeline does get hit. On top of Flirt, gets rooted by the pacifist. PFI goes for the red buff, is able to pick it up, and there will be a flash training for
what are you doing, mate?
Yeah, that was not clean.
Yeah, and actually it does go in the favor of Darkspawn. They managed to clear that red. Zeki's going to be doing his jungle clear late, and no one dies on the side of Darkspawn. However, flash burn by Flirt, and he is very low in HP. But again, I mean, we said this matchup would not be a fun one, so what difference does 300 health make?
He also doesn't have flash. That is not great.
This is really good from PFI. He knows how late Karthus' jungle clear is going to be. He's going to go directly over to the red buff. He's probably going to 3-buff here. And I don't even think Seeker's going to be able to respond. I'm questioning why Seeky decided to go up through the Razorbeak exit towards his blue buff and didn't just join his team in a 3-man rotate out towards the Tribrush to bot side of the map. But I think Seeky's responded really well here. He's going to go for a bit of counter jungling of his own, knowing that it's very likely that he's going to lose his entire red side jungle.
There's no priority though, and Beely is making his way as Flirt fast, like already taken so much damage. And with the priority there, I do feel like Seeky should be fine.
Beely could actually just kill him. If Beely finds him, he actually just kills him. If he lands a stun,
yeah.
There's no flash here. He just dies here.
Seeky?
Well, I have to be careful because the charm comes through here.
And it will find a Returka though. Nice charm by Vixen, and that is a 1-for-1 trade, but it does mean that this Carthus, we talked about how he can fall behind early, already still level 2.
Yeah, blue buff does go over the Vixen though. That is one of the big advantages here. And Kushi does a massive wave mid. Hopefully, for Beely's sake, he gets there pretty soon, but it has been pushed in, so will fall a bit behind in CS, and Vixen able to get that recall off.
Also, you're giving an Ahri with Electrocute the ability to just snowball this, as well as the fact that it's one of Vixen's main champions. Giving this kind of lead over to an Ahri early on probably means that you're not going to find many opportunities as the Irelia to go all in on the Ahri, especially post 6, where Vixen's damage is going to ramp up quite nicely.
So what did you say about the bot lane matchup not being fun, Orgs?
It's not fun. You get shoved in the tower permanently. It
doesn't
you're gonna
look
get bullied.
fun.
No, the 10 CS down already, despite it not even being 4 minutes in the game. It's just not a nice scenario to be in. And PFI is on a ward, so has been spotted out by Lina, but Lina trying to bait him in, waste his time as much as possible. I think PFI has to suss that he was in vision.
Yeah.
Akkas goes back in with the slice and dice, doesn't find the stun, meaning that Lina can just keep on farming, doesn't really want to take the risk, only going for
Which is what I want to see. We said
trade.
Lina needs to absorb pressure in this top lane matchup. We see Psyche actually heading towards the bot, but I don't think there's really much you can do to gank these two under tower.
And this is interesting to me, Ox, as you mentioned, is we have seen this from Darkspawn before, where the map is basically split Seeky on the top side, or in the bot side rather, and PFI on the top side. Don't know if they have enough damage though, as Seeky seems to be making his way to just clear out the Crux here.
I will say, in fairness, Flare and Fastlag are holding on, considering they came in the lane with a disadvantage. They were already down the flash. They aren't taking too many hits other than the CS discrepancy, but I've got to ask, what is PFI doing in return? Because yes, he's been able to get a nice clear, but other than that, Lina's been essentially untouched. Vixen's essentially untouched. We need him to get something forward. Taunt comes in, this is
There's
huge.
a taunt, then Voxney gets tagged back, does not get the plasma procs on him. And it's a nice engage, and crucially the ignite is burnt, and the heal used as well by Den Voxney. But in the end, I don't feel like that was a really big favorable trade for Darkspawn, as they get hit here now with the dredge line, and now Flirt immediately gets ignited, gets taken down and fast, like looks like he's giving up his life here to try and keep his carry alive. But in the end, both of them are looking to get out, but this will mean a lot more plates coming through for E9.
It's just a few plates. I mean, you know, a few hundred gold.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But it does mean a 600 gold lead already coming out for E9. This bot lane in complete control, and Fastleg try to find something in return. The Psyche. They get that turn around very quickly, and in fact, he's going to take a lot of damage. Does get the Raptor though, but again, he's low HP. He's done less than Psyche, I would argue. Because Psyche at least turned up for that gank. PFI
just a
really hasn't
CS
done anything.
advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, PFI, the best he's done here is getting some counter jungling on the Karthus. Now, what you can do versus a Karthus is his main strength, his ability to clear camps. He's not exactly a ganking jungler. He wants to power farm his way to 6. So by limiting Karthus' farm, you're kind of delaying power spikes for him, which is always a nice thing. However, it's not really resulting in any kind of meaningful lane pressure when you pick these solo laners to beat out your opposition, especially in that top lane matchup, Lina versus Akkas. Lina is directly even on CS, having gone,
Oh, he stops the recall as well, finds the burst there, goes for the key burst as well. PFI trying to make his way out of this. PFI flashes away. Oh, sorry, Lina flashes away. But because of all of this, it means that there is a free Infernal Drake available for E9, and we kind of expected a team fight at least to happen around this, but now it's just a free pickup.
Yeah, it wasn't the best situation for E9 on the top side, but they get an Infernal for free, so they will always take that one. Boytika does not connect. Next Dragon will be another Infernal, and I feel like Darkspawn can't give up that one as well.
Lina has now given away a lot of defensive potential in this top lane, though, so that is something that you need to be aware of if you're playing as Riven.
Look at the confidence on Akkas grabbing the Fierce back BF sword.
Oh my goodness.
That's going to be a spear, isn't it?
It is likely going to be a spear, but just the absolute confidence to take that. And I do feel like an early spear would mean your 1v1 is going to be pretty solid with your ultimate against Lina. So you can tell the difference between the pressure applied is that Lina's gone for the Ninja Tabi, the very defensive build.
Look at Vixen in the mid lane, actually down almost 15 CS on Beely. Beely has been playing confidently, having picked up those Mercury Treads early on. I don't actually think Vixen has backed in a while, however, so may come back with a bit more power in the lane. But, I mean, this is a good start for Beely.
This is one of the nice things about our matchup, is because you go precision, you can actually, if you want to, go the tenacity in the runes and the Merc Treads, And then, honestly, the charm barely lasts any time at all. It's shortened by over 50%.
PFI making his way towards the bot side, making sure that he does not get spotted by a ward. Shazzy and then Voxney. No ultimate available yet.
No.
A lot of damage coming
TP's
through
coming
here.
in.
There is a TP, and Aka's making his way down to the bot lane. The immediate dash line comes through. Then Voxney goes for the flash. Does crucially not get hit by the stun, and they might be able to pick up Shazzy, but even he gets out with his life. And then Voxney says, nice for you to show up, Aka's here. You have a couple of auto attacks. And that is disaster for Darkspawn as they invest so much here.
Aka still had flash, and I feel like that's the mistake there. If you're going to commit to that play, you commit everything. He didn't use ult, he didn't use flash. He half committed to the play, and as a result, all they get is a couple of flashes from the bot lane E9. Lina happy to just farm up in this top side for free.
I think there was a slight mistake made by Vixen. I think instead of trying to rotate bot, he spent about 15 seconds going to the river and back again. Probably could have just pushed that wave and taken plates in mid lane. That's the only qualm I have with Voxney.
Then Voxney really low, will get taken down as the Requiem takes down Flirt. Shazzy now off on his own, and Siki hits the wall. Will not be able to take down PFI though. He's really healthy and fast, like nowhere near close enough for him. It's a 1-for-1 trade. And the kill goes to Psyche there.
I'm trying to look for this plate. And just trying to zone out with Psyche, but this is just an aggressive, I'm going to say aggressive defense coming out from PFI and fast-legged in the bot lane.
As Aka's used the Scry's Orb, and Vixen just hasn't been laning against an opponent.
Look at the CS difference top because of that TP and the slow roam back up. Aka's now a level down and 13 CS behind Lina, and yes, the Renekton is a counter to the Riven in the early stages, but if you fall behind in that matchup, you will get absolutely demolished.
And perhaps more importantly, we talk about the scaling composition from E9. Can they get through the early game here? It's 10 minutes in. They're up a K gold with a Karthus jungle who got triple buffed early on. And yet, topside, 15 CS ahead. Now, Beely is doing amazing in terms of CS, but everywhere else, Darkspawn just seemed to falter.
Yeah, I agree. Beely's kind of been the shining light in terms of his ability to lane up against Vixen here. I imagine he's going to go for that Wit's End first Irelia build because he's going into the Karthus and also into the Ahri. But every other lane has been almost abysmal for, especially this bot side of the map, where Dan correctly predicted that it's disgusting to play up against Voxney's Caitlyn. They are just moments away from taking the first turret in the game, and there's been almost next to no jungle impact in this bottom side of the map.
And look at the plates. 5 plates. I think only the top side got ticked as E9 has lost 2 there. They will be able to pick up the Shelly though, which is really good. This might allow them to pick up some more plates, but 3 in the middle turret, and in the bot side only a single plate left. And you gotta imagine, even with the Rift Turret being used, it's a race for first turret blood. As Lina off on his own needs to be careful. Is probably going to be an easy dive. There is the first turret blood getting taken, and Lina, is he actually wanting to go in here? Maybe trying to bait them in, as we see the bot lane back off, and the Herald will not be guided towards the next turret as Flirt and fast-legged. They back off of the mid lane turret as well.
What I really like about the way that Darkspawn actually played that was that usually when you have such a dominating bot lane, they'll immediately rotate top to create a man advantage around Rift Herald. Darkspawn said, okay, we have priority because Aka's has shoved in Lina so far into the turret, and obviously Siki is not in a position where he wants to come and start the Rift Herald himself. They just took Rift Herald. They had priority in their solo laners, and they stopped that bot lane, the crucial element of the bot lane snowball, which is the ability to rotate top. What this has offered for E9, however, is to keep their bot lane on the bot side of the map when Infernal Drake is just spawning.
Yeah, it looks like the Darkspawn will want to contest this one. PFI does have the flash, so he could go for a steal. Aka's now finished that Spear of Trojan. He is so strong if they want to look for a team fight here. I feel like it is the right decision. PFI probably just going to look for a steal.
They're a little bit low side up. A lot of vision here, so they will be able to find the engage. The Dragon does not get leashed, and they go in hard. Psyche's still alive. A lot of damage being tanked up by Shazzy. But look at that. He gets blown up instantly. Beely, though, able to pick up a lot of kills here, but there comes the Requiem. Lina and Vixen still alive. A double kill comes through for Psyche. Even beyond that, he's a big threat as Akers gets taken down. And in the end, it's a free for feet trade, but it's E9 who have the supremacy here and are still healthy enough to maybe, if they want to risk it, go and nevertheless get the push on here.
I don't think they'll go for the Dragon because I know PFI is still up. The Smite Steal could come in, but an even trade in terms of the team fight, but E9 coming out really strong. The Ahri and the Riven, those solo lane is just essentially untouched, and that Karthus already did so much damage in that team fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Karthus win condition that you talked about when we were talking in the previous game with the Vladimir. You literally just press R. Looks like they are going to start up this Infernal Drake once more. We don't have the Karthus ultimate to work with here, but we also don't have the Renekton ultimate either. This might be a bit more of a risky fight for E9 to take, but they have already started things up. And they are not split this time, crucially not split.
Set up a trap with the steal, the Infernal Drake
way.
with the Void Seeker flirts. Absolute madman finds that, and that is crucial. And we see 10 Voxy, he's not having enough. Immediately the Flash Key Burst comes through as Flirt does not have any survivability available. Will get taken down there as well. And the Infernal gets stolen, but Darkspawn pay dearly.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to let them get away with that free Infernal steal, and I do like the fact that now PFI's stuck in the middle of nowhere. He's surely going down here.
PFI, oh no. Beely tries to go for the stun, and Psyche again picks up the kill. And like you said, Dan, Karthus already does so much damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Just picked up now 4 kills, 7 stacks on that Dark Seal, and yes, they lose the Dragon to that steal, but they get 3 kills in the back end, and E9 got complete control of this game, getting another turret here. And like you said, they do have a massive scaling advantage that Rek'Sai is not going to be as useful as the Karthus later on.
So, let's take stock of where we are right now in the game. You can see certain Lightning Spikes getting hit. You can see the Black Cleaver almost finishing up for Lina. You can see just working towards that as the first item. Karthus really starting to power his way into that farming position that you know you can be towards that mid to late game. And Vixen currently being involved in 6 out of 8 kills on the Ahri. Finished up the Luden's Echo. That's a really big mid-game power spike. Don Voxney's picked up the Infinity Edge. I actually think this is looking pretty good for Darkspawn, for E9.
Yeah, we'll get a replay, and the steal comes in, but this is just bad coordination because Fastleg still actually has flash here, and Flair tries to block for him for some reason. Your Nady carry just get out, and then PFI and Beely, I don't know what play they're looking for here, and PFI gets zoned off to the wrong side of the map. Just really questionable play from Darkspawn. No, Beely gets pulled out the tunnel. He's definitely going down.
Yeah,
Or
will be
is
able
he?
to flash and find his other tunnel there. A little bit spoken too soon in the burst.
No, Ahri's
it's not
coming.
enough, but Vixen might be looking for that. But
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's the Karthus ult.
The smite, the
and the Shen
shield.
ultimate.
There is the Stance United. And PFI, despite all odds, the Great Escape makes it somehow out of that situation.
The thing is, that was out of vision as well, so E9 will just be wondering, how did he survive that?
They gotta know it's
They have to
it's
expect
a Shen ultimate,
that
right?
was what came
I actually
in.
think Vixen pulled off the ultimate because I'm
Yeah,
assuming
the call would
Siki
have been
said...
there. Siki said, I've got this, don't bother using your ult, but in the end does end up going down. And crucially, when you use the Karthus ult and don't get any kills, won't proc that presence of mind to get the ult reduction cooldown. So, got a fair wait for that next one. You got to look at the goal differences here, and other than that mid lane, it is heavily favored in the side of E9.
And we're now almost 60 minutes in, and there is a sizable gold lead for E9, and we're kind of seeing a repeat of the second game between Bulldog and Envision, where Envision were able to get ahead early and then snowball from there. And I gotta say, I'm so impressed, although we see some mistakes here and there, that Infernal still coming through. The decisiveness from E9 has been amazing thus far.
I'm interested that Beely decided to go for the Triforce instead of the Wit's End here. I felt like the Wit's End was just the better item given the matchups that he's going into.
I guess it's more about the team fighting because the burst on the squishies is going to be more valuable than the Triforce.
You're not really playing for the elongated team fight versus a Karthus and Ahri and a
Yeah,
Caitlyn.
I feel like if they can get backline access, if they can get this Crocodile and this Aurelia into the backline on these squishies, Darkspawn have a chance, but right now, the game is just in the control of E9. They're moving where they please, and Darkspawn aren't really able to react, at least not in a cohesive way where they form a team fight.
They traded mid lane tier 1 there for top lane tier 1. However, the turret advantages still do lie with E9. They've got around a 3,000 gold lead. We would consider this statistically a major gold lead for E9 to work with at 17 minutes into the game. Baron spawning fairly soon. Looks like Ocean Drake is the next Drake on the cards here. So we will see exactly, or it could be Mountain Drake. I think that's Ocean. I'm looking at the top left corner.
Yeah, that's definitely Ocean, right?
Yeah, that's definitely Ocean.
That's Ocean, but we're assuming that the observers have correctly put the right thing up in the top left, which isn't always the case.
What do you think? Will it be?
Yeah, I reckon it's right.
I reckon.
Oh.
I
reckon
trust
it's
Will.
not. I think Ocean's the one. I think Ocean's the one they just default to when they don't know. So, I guess we'll see. Maybe
It's a
I'm
lot
wrong.
of shade you're throwing there, Orcs.
Well, you know, what can I say?
What can you say? Am I not supposed to take you up on that? I'm
No,
very
that's
sorry.
a rhetorical question. Let's move on and take stock of the game. There is one thing, is that the Vosne on this Caitlyn, with just the Infinity Edge and some components of a Zeal, does not have a ton of sustained damage. That one item spike for Flare is pretty solid on that Stormrazor. I don't think they will fight this Dragon, but Beely might look for it all in here.
And Vixen also doesn't have anything available as the Flawless Duet misses, but neither Beely nor Vixen will be included, and I gotta say, with how strong Beely at the moment is, I don't know if you can contest this Dragon.
I wouldn't look for a 1v1 if I were Vixen into the Beely matchup right now.
It is emotion, so they're all right this time.
This time. We'll get him next time, Orcs.
I don't think they take this fight. They might look for a steal with a Void Seeker again, but I think that's a limit of your commitment here.
Just go Void and Prey Seeker.
Oh, they actually went to 94 HP, so they did. E9 did secure it, but there was a chance it got stolen away there.
They got body blocked this time, though.
Yeah, so better play from them coming out.
Making sure that they don't
learn
get it.
from last time, and do you get to take stock of the gold again? There's one saving grace is the mid lane. There is still not too much of a gold lead over to Lina in the top lane, but other than that, pretty heavy leads across the board. 1,580 carry, 1,300 in the jungle roll over to E9.
And coming into this game, we talked about PFI, how he's been on a roll recently, one of the stronger members of Darkspawn, but here on this Rex side, not really able to find the major impact that we expected early on.
Well, I think the problem is that a lot of action has been centered around the bot lane and then the resounding dragon fights. He hasn't actually found many opportunities to go for those 1v1 or those sort of solo lane plays, which we expected him to be able to do so. A lot of his early pressure came from denying farm from Siki, but obviously given the way that that first dragon fight went, it didn't really work out for them.
Yeah, and we do see Beely did just back off there, pick up components towards that Wit's End you were talking about earlier. Vixen smartly takes this opportunity to back away, because I was just thinking that is the moment where you win that 1v1 hard once you've taken that recall. But Vixen backs away, picks up the Oblivion Orb.
You're not getting that minion.
If you look at Psyche and Vixen's items, there is so much damage coming from them right now. They have the double pen combo, the Sorcerer's Shoes, and the Oblivion Orb. So just the base damage is going to be so powerful until members of Darkspawn pick up some MR. And right now, no MR on Akers, no MR on Flirt, and only limited amounts on the other members.
Yeah, well, Beely is heading towards the Wit's End now, so that will be the second item of choice for him with that Mercury Treads. He'll be the guy that should be able to withstand the majority of the damage coming out from the E9 lineup. Caitlyn Trapp's line has been set up. The Baron is likely going to be the next target. And the top side of the map, though, you can see Vixen getting targeted out by PFI. There is some kind of gank going on, but I think Vixen was able to escape with her ultimate.
Yeah, did just use the ult to get out, so we'll be safe. But that is a big team fighting tool now not available for the side of E9. Darkspawn feeling a bit more confident. If I will use this Friar's Bloom to try and get some control. But right now, E9, they have control of the river, they have control of the Baron area.
Both teleports available as well for the top laner, so if we see a blowout fight, that can be huge. But I gotta say, I don't feel like the Brotherhood are far enough to really force a Baron here. They need to still very much be on their toes, because at 20 minutes, a 2.5k gold lead, not enough to just take any fight that you feel like.
Well, the thing is, 5 minutes ago, they were 3k gold up. So the gold lead is actually closed, and we're 5 minutes later in the game where that gold lead isn't gonna mean as much.
I want to take a look at Caitlyn's items, by the way, here, Orcs.
Defensive.
Defensive. It is Infinity Edge into Phantom Dancer, into the Ninja Tabai, so actually is sacrificing Berserker's Greaves here, realizes the threat of that dive of Beely and Akers, wants to give himself the most potential to come out on top and survive.
Absolutely, and I think it's the right call, because Caitlyn, you're going to save a lot of your utility by putting down traps, putting big headshots into people. If you die, you do no damage. So sure, you could go for the rapid fire cannon to get some extra crits, but if anything, that's just going to bait you into overstepping. I think Devosne is making the right decision because he knows the threat is him dying.
You said that if you die, there's no more damage to be done. Of course, the one exception is Psyche on the Carthus here, and thus far, 4-2 and 4. The first couple of Requiems were really big, but after that, they haven't really been able to make a fight. And I gotta say, I feel like the tension brewing between these two teams, as they're both kind of afraid to engage the 5v5 and just kind of dance around the Baron, not really getting anything done.
The more time that you give to E9, though, the more I favor them this game goes on. So the problem is that the the need to actually make a move lies with Darkspawn Gaming. They are the ones that need to be proactive. They're the ones that need to turn around and say, okay, we need to actually push something here, because they get outscaled pretty hard on all fronts. I think obviously the scaling of the Kai'Sa, but Caitlyn is not a bad scaling AD carry either.
Absolutely. I think the one saving grace is not that Karthus is bad late game, but at least when it gets to the later stages, you'll actually have some magic resist, because I feel like if they go for a fight right now, you just die. I think the people without MR on Darkspawn, like Flair, that ultimate from Karthus is going to do 60-70% of your HP alone.
Yeah, because he's got the double needlessly large rod to work with as well.
I feel like until you have MR on Flair, or at least some sort of defensive items like, you know, a Bloodthirst that can give you that shield or some lifesteal, I really just question, or a Phantom Dancer would be a good one. And
there is no Baron buff, by the way. You're being baited by our overlays. The Baron has still yet to be taken.
Which is understandable. The Mountain Drake, though, a big objective, because I don't feel like the Brotherhood have the greatest in terms of objective taking, and a Mountain Drake can really help them out there. So this Darkspawn, they need to find a team fight, because like you say, X-Scoundrel, as time progresses, they're naturally just going to get somewhat outskilled. How does the team fight need to look for them to be able to get a decisive win? A pick on Shazin might be really good. Forced to flash that. I don't think the taunt would have hit.
No,
it doesn't want PFI to get on top
the taunt
of
didn't
him.
hit is the main thing, is that Fastleg, I think he taunted a bit too soon, or he could have gone for the flash to secure it, but didn't in the end. So Shazin able to flash out, and sure, you're not down the flash, but that could have potentially been a pick, and Mountain Dragon does go over to E9, and on the back of that Karthus, it's going to make it a lot easier to take those neutral objectives.
Let's have a look then as we set up a Baron. Now, finally, Darkspawn have found their way into Division superiority in this Baron pit area. And now it's going to be E9 that have to work their way in. You do have that Kai'Sa who can take the Baron pretty quickly. You have to worry about that. And Siki, that's an aggressive position for a Karthus.
Really aggressive pathing coming out there from the jungler from Brotherhood. Was a little bit scared there.
Yeah, I think that's the one concern for me for E9 is there's no one who's great at face checking, because Shazin isn't actually that tanky on the Nautilus and is without flash. And Karthus is immobile and squishy, but they're still in control. They're still ahead. 3k gold up again. And right now, Darkspawn have to play around their pressure. I'm going to shove in mid and then move back over this Baron area. You can see they've cleared a lot of the vision now, but they really want to secure control. Fastleg going to do his best to secure this, but PFI, low on HP, needs to ult to survive, but the Ignite and the ult is enough.
What happened there?
He was just dead. They went for an engage on Vixen. You really just can't engage onto an Ahri very easily. You've got to land that initial stun, and now the charm comes through.
And there is the lay at CC as just as a PF5 falls without much fanfare. The same happens to Beely. Just overextends. They try and get a pick on Vixen, but Ahri, even without the Glacial Augment, is so incredibly slippery with the ultimate. The dash is available as well. Didn't even have to use flash there because Vixen could use it. And it looks like we saw the indicator earlier. Now the Baron buff will be there for E9. And they're looking firmly in control of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Secured the Baron, got a few kills as well. Now 5k gold up, and going to look to push down, and like you said, they do have the scaling advantage. Rabadon's now picked up. We'll see how that play happens. So Vixen clearing out Ward, and PFI decides to go for the play, but goes straight into a charm, and then doesn't even actually find the knockup for such a long time. And at this point, you're dead. The Ignite is enough to kill him. I think if he'd ulted, he could have dodged the Karthus ult, but dead out of the way. And then the follow-up, you can't dodge away from that Nautilus ult. The charm's easily followed up on, and then it's an easy Baron secure for the side of E9.
It's actually the ward over the side of the wall there that allowed him to charm as PFI was jumping over the wall. That was a really clever ward coming out from Vixen. Allowed him to safely try and clear that control ward on the top side of the map. And now we've got a potential 1-4, 1-3-1 situation opening up where the Baron buff is available. Akers has really not found any love in the 1v1 matchup versus Lina, who's played it incredibly safely. And honestly, that's been the least interesting matchup of this entire game.
Yeah, I expected a lot of fireworks there, but none of that. As now 27 minutes in, we see the Darkspawn at a firm deficit. There was a little bit of a deficit ever starting since the early game, but now it's built out for the Brotherhood. They're able to balloon it as the base starts crumbling here for Darkspawn as they lose their first inhibitor. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next one follows rapidly. Or maybe E9 are even going to look for an engagement here to try and end the game right here, right now at 27 minutes. They will at the very least get this bot lane inhibitor as Beely, without a teleport, is still pushing through. And I don't know if that's really what what you want to go for because with teleport you can be here in time, but now the push continues. The Baron up cannon minions are still there, and E9 are having none of it, getting a little poke down here on this Nexus turret that is evaporating within seconds when then Voxney finds his way over to PFI taken low before the fight has well begun as Lina takes on Beely and Flirt basically on his own. He will be able to stay alive with a last second stopwatch. Gets out no matter what. And there comes the Requiem. Even if it doesn't kill them, it doesn't matter. As once again, the open team takes the win in the first game of the series.
And I'd argue just a completely dominant performance from E9. The Brotherhood just stomped Darkspawn in that game. There was a little bit of life in the early levels, but there wasn't quite the momentum we wanted to see come out from Darkspawn, and Brotherhood just ran away with the game.
I think it kind of went along this line of stories. PFI couldn't impact his solo lanes as much as he wanted. His bot lane got hard crushed, like absolutely crushed, like massive, almost looking like skill discrepancy crushed because of that Caitlyn for Devoxy. I'm not saying that there's a massive skill discrepancy. I can't even say the word.
The Caitlyn, though.
Skill discrepancy, though, but Devoxy is obviously an incredible Caitlyn player, and maybe you have to consider that as a ban. Not many people like to ban Caitlyn, but...
It's not just the banning Caitlyn, but I feel like there are better picks to take in the Caitlyn that have a bit more range that can deal with it. Like the old counter was Nash, but probably one of the strong picks in this meta is the Varus, who can go a bit more toe-to-toe. Kai'Sa is very short range.
Yes.
And it just felt like you were going Kai'Sa Shen to try and survive, but you were just permanently shoved in, and there's no real pressure you could put back in return.
And I gotta say, well, I feel like the mid-game there really slowed down the pace of the game. Like you said, it never really felt like the Brotherhood were out of control or were losing control of the game because the scaling was good, and more importantly, they didn't really give anything up. It was slowed down, but for them it didn't matter. They hit their strong points, and then Requiem comes through.
The problem is in this meta right now is if you're going up against a scaling composition, you have to have something that hard wins. Like you need some kind of area of the map that's going to hard win because you want to essentially, and not in saying like hard win in finding kills, but like shoving lane consistently, getting turret plating, allowing you to snowball the gold advantage. Because you need to essentially then use that to rotate around the map and then put pressure on by taking objectives and getting as much plating in the early game as possible to accelerate your gold lead.
Yeah, I agree. I think
I can't add anything to that. We are going to go to a short break, and then we will be back with what will possibly be the final game. Or can Darkspawn fight their way back? We'll see you after the break.